Hello, Lawrence Township students and families. This video was created for 3rd grade during the week of May 4th. Our focus will be humanities, and this is lesson number 2. In this lesson, we will continue to see how plants grow almost everywhere on the planet. Plants are so important to life on Earth that without them we could not survive. They have survival needs just like we do. We will look at different types of plants and what they need to survive. For the next few weeks, we will be studying both nonfiction and fiction texts to help us understand why plants are such an important part of life here on Earth. Your learning targets include asking and answering questions to demonstrate understanding of a text, referring explicitly to the text as the basis for your answers. This will be very important for today. We will also write effectively for a variety of purposes, and we will construct an argument that plants and animals have internal and external structures that function to support survival, growth, behavior, and reproduction. For task number 1, students will reread the passage Miss Johnson's Plant Experiment to practice their reading fluency and build further understanding of what plants need in order to survive. First, you'll reread the passage from yesterday. Then, underline in the passage the key details that help you to understand what plants need in order to survive. If you would like to listen to me reading the passage again, you can skip to the end of the video. Students will be successful when they have reread the passage for fluency and underline the important details in the text that help you to understand what plants need in order to survive. For task number 2, students will answer questions about Miss Johnson's plant experiment. First, in task number 1, you will read the passage again. Then for number 2, you will answer multiple choice questions number 1 through 7. Make sure that you go back in the text to prove your answers. You can underline or highlight with a crayon or pen or marker where you found the answer to each question and write the number of that question where you found your answer. So put the question number next to the evidence in the text. Number 3 says answer short answer questions number 8 through 10 with complete sentences. Explain your thinking using evidence from the text. You can do that by saying, in the text it says, or according to the text. Students will be successful when they answer questions number 1 through 10 and highlight where they found their answer or explain their answer in complete sentences using textual evidence. Today you'll be rereading Miss Johnson's Plant Experiment, all 3 pages, so page 1, 2, and 3. Here are our first 4 questions for task number 2. Number 1, what does Miss Johnson ask her class to look at and describe? Is it 2, 3, 4, or 5 plants? Number 2, what is compared and contrasted with the plant on the windowsill? So what do they compare with that plant on the windowsill? The plant on her desk, the plant in a dark corner, another plant on the windowsill, or a plant that one of Miss Johnson's students has at home. Number 3 says plants need light and water to be healthy. What evidence from the story supports this statement? So choose which of these details from the text tells you that that's what they need. Question number 4 says, what happens to the plant in the dark corner? Question number 5 says, what is this passage mainly about? What is the main idea of this passage? Question number 6 says, read the following sentences. Miss Johnson then asked the students to touch the soil and tell her about it. Grace says, it's moist and dark brown around this plant. Max says, it's very dry and light brown around this plant. So what is the meaning of the word soil? Which of those words, A, B, C, or D, is a synonym for soil? Question number 7 says, choose the answer that best completes the sentence below. The plant on the windowsill has bright green leaves. The plant in the dark corner has brown and yellow leaves. Your options are in contrast, in conclusion, in particular, or as a result. Here we can see our 3 short answer questions. Number 8 asks us, which plant gets water and a lot of light? Be sure to answer with complete sentences. Question number 9 says, which plant does not get water and a lot of light? And finally, question number 10 says, what will probably happen to the plant in the dark corner after it is moved to the windowsill and gets water? Support your answer with evidence from the passage. When you're finished answering all three, make sure that you go back and check your short answers for proper capitalization, punctuation, and spelling. For task number 3, students will complete their DLR, Daily Language Review. In order to be successful, they can correctly answer at least 5 out of 6 boxes on their DLR. Here we can see our daily language review for the day. In box number 1, we need to circle the word that means the same as honor in the sentence above. That means we're looking for a synonym. In box number 2, we want to circle the antonym for brave in the sentence, which means the opposite. For box number 3, we want to choose which word is spelled correctly to fit in the sentence above. And for box number 4, we need to circle the adjective in the sentence. Remember that an adjective is a word that describes a noun, so a word that describes a person, place, or thing. In box number 5, we have 2 sentences, and we can only choose one word that fits into both. And finally, we need to read the sentence in box number 6 and circle if it is a fact or an opinion. The next few slides provide you with visuals and support to ensure you are successful with each task. Here we can see some academic vocabulary that we need to know from the text. Let's read our text for today together. Miss Johnson's plant experiment. Miss Johnson, a second grade teacher, reached deep into her canvas bag and pulled out 2 plants. She placed the plants on a table at the front of the room. She asked her class to gather around the table to look at the plants and describe what they saw. They look the same, Helena said. The leaves are green, Aaron added. They're standing straight up, Lee noted. Miss Johnson asked them to touch the soil and tell her about it. The soil is moist, and it's dark brown, Mia observed. The soil is getting stuck under my fingernails, Teresa said. Miss Johnson placed one plant in a sunny spot on the windowsill and the other on the floor in a dark corner of the classroom. She asked for 4 volunteers. Each volunteer was responsible for watering the plant on the windowsill once a week. Miss Johnson promised her class the plants would be part of an important lesson the following month. 4 weeks later, Miss Johnson brought the plants back to the table and invited the class to describe them again. They don't look like each other anymore, Helena said excitedly. One plant is green and has some new bright green leaves, and the other plant has more yellow and brown leaves than green leaves, Nina explained. One plant is standing straight up, and the other one is bent over, Lenny added. Miss Johnson then asked the students to touch the soil and tell her about it. It's moist and dark brown around this plant, Grace said. It's very dry and light brown around this plant, Max described. Miss Johnson explained, plants are alive. They respond to where they live. What are the differences between where I put the plants and how we cared for them? You put one in a dark corner and the other one on the windowsill where there's a lot of light, Ellie replied. We watered the plant on the windowsill, but we didn't water the plant in the corner of the room, Aaron said. That's right. Which plant is growing and healthy? Miss Johnson asked. Several students replied that the plant on the windowsill they watered was the one which was growing and healthy. You're right, Miss Johnson exclaimed, proud of her students. Then she continued, I wanted you to see for yourselves that plants depend on light and water to grow and be healthy. Did you know that plants breathe? They have little openings on their leaves that look like tiny mouths, but they are too small to see without a microscope. When we breathe in oxygen. Plants breathe in carbon dioxide. Plants take in carbon dioxide from the air and use it to build their leaves, stems, and roots. Plants also take in water. This is why we need to water plants, so they will grow. They use their roots to suck up water into their bodies and the little openings on their leaves to breathe in carbon dioxide. Once they have water and carbon dioxide, plants need light. Leaves are made up of a bunch of tiny cells. Inside the cells are very little things called chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are what make leaves green, and they are also what turn the carbon dioxide, water, and light into sugar and oxygen. The sugar is food for the plants. These plants release the oxygen into the air, which humans and many animals breathe in. What do plants need to grow and be healthy? Miss Johnson asked her class. They need light and water, the class replied. Let's place both plants on the windowsill where they will get lots of light and grow. Who would like to volunteer to water the plants? All of Miss Johnson's students raised their hands. If needed, watch this video again as you work on the tasks in this lesson. Please be reminded to submit your work to your classroom teacher.